at spot, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining us this evening. We would stand for our invocation of pledge of allegiance. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for blessing us, being here tonight. Lord, we just ask you to lead and guide our thoughts and our actions as we get through this meeting. And let everything we do be pleasing to you. In your name we pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everyone had an enjoyable week off last week. Refreshed and ready to hit the ground running for a new school year. We will review our proposed agenda for next Monday's regular meeting. After call to order and invocation of pledge. Our agenda in front of us, student staff recognition at this time. Both participation. Item F is items requiring board action as a recommendation from the superintendent. Have the approval of last month's minutes. We have reviewed those. If anyone has seen any corrections to be made.
Time to see.
There is one correction that needs to be made on June the 12th. Ms. Blue was marked not present on that call meeting. So we'll have that corrected.
Okay. Correction will be made. We have the approval of the May 2025 financial statement. Look at that, Sean Stein. The approval of the SPOS budget.
How's it flowing as compared? How's the flow as compared to SPOS?
Well, it went, the SPOS went down just a little bit this month, down below 100,000.
Yeah, I know, but there's pumps are all full, we can't get gas anywhere we go. So maybe it'll just coming in handy.
Next, we'll have the approval of the new middle high budget summary. We have the canning plant reconciliation.
And they're booming. It's conversation everywhere. The most this year I've heard, again, in plant, there's so many people asking about that, saying they're taking this, that, and other thing.
And it's picked up. It's become a lot more popular.
Yes.
And also see the Cortez Congress Charitable Trust account.
I mean, why don't we even look at that? There's no money coming in and there's no money going out, so why?
Not at this time. But they did say next time they, cut trees, we would get a donation.
No one that'll do.
I do want to know what they do.
No, I want to put some stipulations on use of it.
Next will be the approval of the HR recommendations. We have an executive session at the end of our meeting tonight regarding personnel to discuss the HR report. Move past that. Item 7 is the approval and ratification of executed agreement with PSS Southeast LLC to provide substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, and other specific substitute staff and permanent staff as provided therein. And we had discussed previously. Item 8 is the approval of the 2025-2026 student code of conduct. And this is Mr. Bernard Gilman next to it, so I'm assuming he's got something to tell us.
He's been spearheading the updates and revisions.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of, major revisions. District leadership team and myself consequences for some of the major events that you'll see. In the past, we had, I call it a chart with like little X marks or whatever, but now you'll see that it's kind of more detailed out based on age appropriate. So, but that's pretty much, the revisions, for the code of conduct. And as far as the employee handbook, pretty much identical to last year. We did add some curriculum expectations for teachers that was omitted, and we have something about assistant absence for teachers in there that our principals really want to see in the handbook. So that section was added. But that's all for those two.
Any questions or comments regarding either the student code of conduct or the employee handbook?
Just wanna see it held to it.
Item 10 is the approval of the 2025-2026 athletic handbook. Christopher Raymond.
He's not able to be with us tonight, so if you'll look, you'll see it in your packets. There's an athletic handbook for the students in the program, and there's also a handbook for the coaches. This is the first draft, or probably fourth draft, but a draft for you to review for the first time. So as you're going through it this week, you'll see everything that we've discussed, I would say over the past year, I know, is included in this document. It's still a living, breathing document, so we obviously can make any changes as needed between now and next Monday when we vote to approve, and any along the school year as well, since it'll be our document. It's not coming from the state. We did use several other school systems, basically best practices, what other school systems were doing in order to create this document. But I think you'll see that it actually is very applicable to some of the issues that we've been having this past year. And those issues are addressed in this document, from the coach's perspective and the student's perspective.
Any questions? Or rush you in, just going through and look at it.
If you have any questions during the week, you don't hesitate to email, reach out.
Everybody good with moving on? Okay. Item G is the policy review for graduation requirements.
They're just getting their intercoms installed.
Whatever it takes.
Whenever, whatever. That won't be much distraction, we'll go ahead and go, so, policy revisions for graduation requirements.
Yeah, we currently have policy IHFR, within the Turner County Schools Policy Manual. You'll notice the scratch through on the second page, where the workforce ready course has been scratched, and instead of that one course, we still keep it 23 units and add one to the elective, which gives our students the opportunity to pursue additional CTA pathways within the college and career academy. And that's the only change.
Questions? surplus plans for the middle high school building contents.
So Mr. Lavender and I, we've been discussing for, I guess, several months now, the plan for what to do with the surplus materials that'll still be within the middle school and high school classrooms, buildings, hallways, areas, front offices, that someone in the community may be interested in purchasing. Because of the timeline shifting a little bit, we had thought maybe the beginning of July, so we could offer that surplus. It's now feeling like it's gonna be closer to the end of July, but it is something that we are still looking at. At this time, you can probably speak to it more, there's not that much left in the building, but, you know, we've had people ask about doors, we've had people ask about windows, cabinets, and obviously all of those would still be available.
And some of that we may not be able to, because that's part of,
The tear down.
yeah, JCI's, agreement with their demolition person to, as far as, not the desk and stuff in there, but, the metal and a lot of that, their demolition crew is expecting to separate that out and
Sell it.
get the metal and sell it, out of it. That's part of their, deal to get the price down on, of course, demo of it. But as far as, desks and things that are left in there, if that's something y'all would like to set up a day, I'm gonna be honest, we're looking they're wanting to tear down the, existing building starting the 21st of July. So, we're very limited. I'm hoping to have everything that we're moving out of it this week, so basically you're looking at next week, we may could have a day, if that's something.
If that's something more would be interested in, since we modified our policy.
Could we offer current staff to go in to see what they may want first? Is that against the surplus policy?
Hang on, right there.
We've all got them, I mean, all the stuff to do with football, baseball, and all that,
Which,
all that we had in our, cases.
Like awards?
Awards,
yes.
yes,
Yeah.
that's on the
Right,
stage,
right.
stage.
there's a plaque on the back hallway, on the city hallway, that's one of the things we'll remove, we'll save, so there are things like that. we will
Yeah,
save.
all that's been good.
And back on the ag, is that what
Just that one, that one's on top there.
But, yeah, the teachers, they might have something, something.
I mean, it's mainly just old student desks and old teacher desks, is basically what's left in there, there's not a whole lot, else that's left in there.
In your opinion, is it worth the time and effort to do a surplus sale?
On my end, no. But, I mean, if it's something y'all want, if you want to provide that opportunity to the community, we'll make it happen, whatever we gotta do.
How many items, pieces are you thinking, maybe 200 pieces, 1,000, 5,000?
There's a lot of student desks and a lot of teacher desks in there,
do you think that's all that we're talking about, desk?
I mean, everything else is pretty well, either we took it to store it because it was good, we're gonna store it in case we needed it at elementary school. A lot of the good desks, we've already took over to the elementary school. And then as far as if there was anything that was going over to the new school, of course, especially out of the CTA classrooms, most of that, is going over, so, there's not a whole lot. Basically, like I said, desk is the main thing. And like I said, I mean, if you wanna offer it to staff and say, hey, if you wanna come this day and come through and look and, however y'all want to do it,
Yeah, I would much rather just say let me do one day and let them have it. Staff wanna come one day, and then the community wants to come one day. I mean, we're talking about, we're gonna have to pay to get it removed, and we're gonna have to pay to.
well, I mean, we're not gonna pay to get removed, it's gonna stay in there. They're
Oh,
gonna-
they gonna pay for it.
It's gonna,
Everything
it's
is
gonna go
done.
with the school, so,
Board okay with, staff day one day and a community day the next day? Can we do
would still be under that,
No, they'll all be all extended as far as the years.
yeah, past the point of it's,
Especially if it's gonna be demolished.
Right.
It's gonna be demolished anyway.
Yes.
Feasible to say we could have those dates by next week?
They still have to be there.
Oh, yeah.
We got a very tight window.
I mean, we could set it where the staff day is the 15th, right, y'all meet Monday, 14th, so 15th, and then the community 16th.
They're doing, trying to get our school.
By that point, I'll have everything of ours out of there, so at that point, it will be, they can get whatever.
They have to bring their own labor crew.
And they're on trailer.
They gotta take it out that day, there's no holding it. If it stays, it's going down.
I guarantee you gonna have it.
All right. Any more conversation regarding the surplus funds? Item I is information items from the board. First is the construction update.
Well, we have our punch list. I'm now getting them dated, going through the punch list, walking through buildings with the staff, construction crews, going through, seeing what's done today that was not done yesterday, those type items. As far as, since the last time we talked, we've got stair treads still not in, still no ETA for delivery, so we're now going to an option 2, option 3, for something we can do temporarily to put on the stair treads, just to get us through that August or September delivery date when we get that. Storefronts are going in, they should be finalized. There was some issues with the dipping of the bronze colors that frame out the metal doors and do all the storefronts didn't match. Some of them look more dark bronze, some of them look more gold bronze, so that's something they're gonna have to fix. And they're already on that, fixing them as we speak. All 3 buildings, 1100, 1200, and 1300 have already been punched. They're now working on those punch lists, like I said, each day. The asphalt paving, as you can see, has been completed. They're supposed to start striping tomorrow, so all of that will be completed within 2 to 3 days. The
Did we get
landscape,
the drainage problem resolved?
right out here, once they
It
do the
didn't seem
asphalt.
like it, it seemed like, you know, when it rained
Yeah, now
this
there's
week.
dirt.
Have we had a lot of
Well,
You know, like, it seemed like it's still
It'll
holding.
be a lot better once they get the, sod and stuff in, because they had just put topsoil out right before we got that real heavy rain, whatever day that was last week. And when that did, it washed a lot of that soil into on top of the drain, covered the drain up, but should be, they added extra drains along there to help remediate that issue.
So once the asphalt striping is completed, then they'll start landscaping at the end of this week. So all the landscaping should also be completed within 2 to 3 days. The pond fencing is scheduled for this week as well, to fence around the pond area. And the fire marshal is scheduled to come in for the first time on July 11th. So that will be the first walkthrough for the fire marshal. Furniture has started arriving. It's actually in the civic center, in the gym right now as we speak, coming in daily. As you can see from the, company that just walked through, intercoms are going in. Let's see if there was anything else. The monument sign, I don't know if we discussed this, there was no monument sign in the original plan, or if it was VE'd at some point and taken out, so we put that back in the plan since we've got the funds available within the contingency budget.
When you
And
say
so
monument,
it's the sign, like the digital sign to go out by the road. There was no sign, currently in the plans. Yeah, so we now got that back on the agenda to do, so it won't be obviously, ready in the next few months, but it'll be ready throughout this next school year. Once we get the design completed, Kyle is working on that, and then once that's completed, then we'll take it to the next phase. As far as the power relocation for the concessions in the stadium, I know Martin's working with Jason, and Georgia Power. Do you have any updates on that?
We will have it done before August 5th.
Yes. So some poles are gonna have to be moved, a lot of wires moved, the music sound room, there were some treatments that were gonna go on the walls to block some of the sounds, to make sure that it was more user-friendly for the band when they were practicing. that had been removed at some point, we've been able to add that back in. And again, landscaping, we added that back in. The only thing that was in the plans was sod only. So we now have trees, shrubbery, lily grass, trying to think, maple trees, crepe myrtles.
The landscape.
It's a company that JCI uses, it's their company.
Is there a second, amount of contingency for phase two, or is this the same?
This is all. So the 1.1 million was the original, and we're down to, if I have that number in front of me, we're down to 831,000 of the 1.1 million.
And that's included already subtracting
That's
the
everything that was spent.
landscaping?
That's everything, even everything that's coming, the furniture, everything that's been purchased is already, so that's $831,956 is still available. In addition to that, they actually set aside, $188,000 for an electrical contingency, a whole separate contingency fund that we've not even had to touch. So really, we're still at the 1.1 million that we started off with available to us. So we're in great shape for phase two.
Any additional questions for the construction update? Hearing none, the Atlas greenhouse update.
The update is that it is complete. So we just have 1 month extra, longer than what we thought. If you have any other updates.
So it's completed. I will say the big greenhouse is not turned on right now because JCI is using that power right now for their trailer. They're hooked in right there, but whenever we get to the point that they're ready to use the larger greenhouse, we can get it flipped on. That's not a problem, but, just right now, I have it switched off. But it's all hooked up, it's functional, it's ready to go.
Okay. GSBA exemplary board recognition application deadline is July 20th.
The board asked that I pursue exemplary board recognition for our group this year. And so that deadline is the end of this month, so we are working on that application now. One of the items that will need to be completed is the GSBA governance team self-assessment, based on the Georgia Vision for Public Education project, and that is included in your packets. So we will get that completed this week so that we can have that submitted.
Okay.
Some important dates coming up. First is convocation, will be on July 28th. National Night Out is scheduled for July 29th. JCI has offered to do, a luncheon for us, for our, district office staff, school administration, so that will be on the 31st at 11:30. You are invited to attend, we would love to have you there. The first day of school is August the 1st, and at some point within those dates, we will have a ribbon cutting community open house. I would think around, if I had to guess, the 28th, 29th, 30th, one of those dates at the end of the month. So that everything's in, everything's completed, the community can be a part of this celebration. Everything's shiny and clean and ready for everybody to come see it. So we're working with JCI now to get that date established.
Okay. Pre-planned schedule.
Yep, we've been working on scheduling that, Mr. Jordan, if you wanna elaborate, we do have the schedule in your packet.
Yes, I mean, principals are updating, schedules. I gave them a July 10th deadline to come get some meetings in there before we open up to our directors, because at that time, it fills up really fast. So, by next week, it should be, pretty sure we'll get enough copy, right? We'll get enough copy.
Yeah, well, okay.
As it is updated, and you'll be able to see more meetings as they go out.
Okay. Teacher Academy.
And you can see the Teacher Academy schedule, is completed, and, it is intense. There is a lot of, specific professional development sessions, whether it's H&H, classroom management, working on pacing guides, vertical planning. See if I can hit some of everything dealing with tier 1 instruction and student engagement. Canva, we've got some math and ELA, obviously because of the new standards rolling out. We've got Amy Dean's trainer, Shauna Griffin is gonna be coming doing, that training for us. We've got mental health. And I would say probably that's the highlights, and then a lot of focus on literacy and tier 1 instruction. And this, Rainey, if you wanna elaborate maybe how this came about, how these schedules were put together based on our needs?
Sure. The academic coaches and I worked together based on the needs that we saw in the classrooms over the past year. And I was able to reach out to Coastal Plains RESA to get some of those resources on board. So it was a huge group effort, so.
Are we not offering any sessions on AI integration into the classroom? How our staff will be using it, as well as our students?
Not at this time, no, sir. There's nothing on the agenda, quite like that. I do know that the state has released an AI policy, and we have a short AI policy, but there's nothing specific related to how we would like to, teachers or students to use that in the classroom.
That's something that could be added to the pre-planning schedule.
No other questions regarding the teacher academy, we'll go into the end of year data presentation.
Okay, we got, I think Mr. Sims up first, and he was not able to be with us tonight. He actually has military training. He schedules that during July so that he doesn't miss school time during the school year. So Ms. Taylor, I think, is here, and, he actually did it as a voiceover, so you'll still hear his voice within the presentation. And then obviously, we've got the school administrators, we've got Ms. Wilson here as well, to do any elaboration, anything that's needed, for any questions that you may have.
Ready?
Good evening, this is Mr. Sims, principal of Turner County Elementary School. I'm off on military duty, so I'll be giving my presentation with my end of the year impact check via audio. This is our enrollment and demographics. As you can see, we're currently at 564 students. You can see how they're broken down by grade level and by ethnicity. This is our subgroup data. This is how our early intervention program, our EIP students, this is how they're broken down, equated up to our 306 students that we currently have in our early intervention program for the past school year. This is our attendance data up to May 15th. You can see the total number of unexcused absences. Those numbers are pretty good. We could do better, but those are the numbers that are not reported to state. The second column are the numbers that are reported to state. You can see that we have a lot of work to do. We have over 50% of our students missing between 6 and 15 days. And we also have 93 students that miss over 16 days. And that will seriously impact academic learning and just the overall flow of the school year for a student if they're missing that many days. It's a comparison of 2023-24 compared to this past school year. As you can see that we have a lot of work to do. We did decrease the number of students that missed 16 plus days, but we also had a higher enrollment last year. So we're still working on trying to get those numbers down so that we have a higher percentage in the 0 to 5 days missed than we have in the other columns. Hope we can get that first column up to 80, 90% going into next year. We had an attendance team. Our attendance team sent over 300 letters home for students missing 5 or more days with unexcused absences, and 53 attendance team meetings throughout the year. 4 students were referred to CHINs because of excessive absences. 146 students had 4 or less absences, which is a good note. We'd like to get that number around 546 students next year. Hopefully, we can get our incentives and strategies together so we can improve that attendance, so we can see those gains. And then we did have 11 students that did have perfect attendance for this past year, and they received lunch off campus. Also, not only our student attendance, but our staff and teacher attendance also needs to improve. If both of those improve, we'll see mastery content and overall learning and relationships between teacher and students improve. That'll have a direct effect on behavior. And like I say, students, want their teachers there. Teachers are better than any sub that we can bring in the building. So we're gonna incorporate incentives and different initiatives that hopefully get our teachers, staff, and our students here more often than not. This is our behavioral data, average referrals per day. You can see it kind of peaks up September, October, and in February, and then it slowly goes back down by the end of the year as classroom guidelines and rules are established and students understand what is expected of them by the adults and teachers in this building. Our Ready Diagnostic 1 compared to Diagnostic 3 in reading, you can see that we're showing growth in the areas we need to show growth in, and we're decreasing in the areas we need to decrease in. We'll continue to push that forward. Hopefully, those results lead to more increased content mastery in every grade level, so it can be seen when we're taking our GMAS assessments at the end of the year. You can see some of the summaries right there, how we're increasing, and our students on early on grade level and mid to above grade level, you're seeing that increase of about 22% in reading. So we're hoping to get that percentage up to 30-40% as we move into next year, of our students get closer to grade level in reading and also in math that we'll see here. It's doing the same thing. Math is at a little bit slower pace than reading, but the kids are showing improvement. We still have a lot of kids in both that are around that 1 grade level below. Hopefully we can continue to push them into those first 2 rows and continue to decrease the 4 and 5 rows down at the bottom. Another summary, it's showing growth across the board, but I just have to explain that growth does not mean that they're on grade level. We have a lot of students that are below, and even if they do make it to grade level, by the time they get to the end of the year, they're still not on grade level completely, because you need to be at the end of that grade level, mid to above by the time you get to the end of the year. And a lot of our students in 3rd through 5th grade have shown a lot of growth, but that growth may not have them on their mid to above grade level. We know that it takes time to close those learning gaps, and that's what we're working to achieve each and every day that we're here at Turner County Elementary School. Still, across the board in reading and math, they continue to show reading gains outpace the math gains, especially in K through 3. Reduction in students 2 or more grade levels below, that's continuously showing in both subjects. It's faster in K through 3, and just a little bit slower in 4th and 5th, but K through 3 are getting those, that support from HMH that a lot of our students in 3rd through 5th grade did not get when they were in kindergarten and 1st grade. So that program is very good, and I can definitely expect those numbers to increase as they continue to move throughout the elementary school grade levels. This is historical CCRPI data. You can see that we need improvement here. We're continuously going down. Well, we kind of stayed the same the last 2 years, but our mastery content was greatly affected this year. We got goals and guidelines and strategies in place to make sure we improve going into next year, but it's definitely an area that we need to improve our content mastery and other categories to help improve our CCRPI data. These are the numbers after retest for our 3rd graders who only retest in the ELA. We got 5 more 2s and 9 more students reading on grade level, but like I said, there's a lot of improvement needs to be made, but we're gonna celebrate those successes of those students. We got a lot of students that improved, they just did not make it to that level 2 or level 3s. Level 2s are not what we strive for. We're trying to strive for 3s and 4s, but we'll take take all the successes that we can get as we continue to move forward. Fourth grade did not retest, and you can see their current scores. Same as the third and fourth, we have a lot of work to do because we want to get more 3s and 4s to help us out and show how promising and how smart our students are, how intelligent they are throughout the year. Fifth grade, some retested in math, some retested in ELA, and some retested in both. We got 4 more ELA 2s after retest. We got 14 more math level 2s, and we got 9 more on reading on grade level. So they came in, third and fifth grade, they came in and worked harder. They came in and watched them in class, they were working hard. And we had a lot of them that improved that just couldn't make it to that level 2, but they did come in and work hard. So we're proud of them, and we're gonna celebrate those successes also as we move into the next school year. Here's our GMAS data overall. You can see the lightning bolts showing the improvement in different grade levels moving forward. We have a plan for our science. That's an area that we really need to improve in. So we'll be showing that improvement next year with a different plan for our fifth grade students who test in science GMAS. Still some more data showing how we got to our 35% mastery content. It's a 6%, almost 7% decrease, and that's gonna be our focus to make sure we increase that content mastery going into next year. Going into next year, you can see our testing and diagnostic schedule. For our K through third, they're gonna be using iReady. Third grade, we'll get 1 test in Beacon, and fourth through fifth will do Beacon 3 times, and by those schedules below, and then GMAS testing will be in April 2026. We'll continue with our meeting our guidelines and standards for our Georgia Literacy Act and dyslexia, those House bills that were imposed or basically ratified by our state educational department. So we'll continue to address those and meet those guidelines throughout the year, just like we did this year. And we continue to use those universal screeners. Those are our iReady and Beacon tests that we use to screen our students and monitor their progress throughout the year. This is how we do it throughout the year. This is just K through 3 to meet our Georgia Literacy Act. You can see those down there, and I know there is a process, and there's a link there that you can click on to get to that process and see how we meet those guidelines posed by state educational department. Continue on just how we notify students if they're at risk or not at risk using our universal screener data, and we send those copy of the plan for the students and notifications to the parents throughout the year. Second year HMH, we can see how it is helping across the board, more rigor in the classrooms, and it's going to challenge our students, and I know that they'll meet the challenge and continue to get better throughout the years, but this is year number 2, and we continue to work to strengthen those practices. The teachers are used to it now, the students are more used to it now, so I can see us getting out to a great start next year as we continue to implement HMH throughout our days. We provide support to our parents at all times. They can come to our various after-school events, Title I events. They can also just pop up at school, and Ms. Register is available whenever she's available. She's there to give them help with HMH. We're gonna send more homework home this year, and we're gonna tailor our after-school program for lessons to help review and strengthen academic progress in both math and ELA throughout the year. This is our action plan and focus moving forward. This is subject to change. You can click on the links that are embedded to see the complete plan. You can read those there to improve and increase faculty and student attendance. We know that'll directly affect how much our students learn and how effective it is throughout the year. Strengthen the implementation of HMH and Leader in Me is year 2 for both of those programs here. Enhance after-school program focused on academic growth. Like I said, we're gonna, change the focus, make sure it's more academically driven. Throughout the year, they have our students review, especially the stuff they have learned through that day, which teachers giving those, teachers who do after school a review and lessons to help them out to review for the next day or what they learned that day. We need to foster stronger teacher and student relationships, making sure that our students have, great relationships with our teachers that'll make them wanna come to school. It'll also improve our climate, and it'll also, help improve our behavioral, referrals. It'll decrease those and keep our students in class. And, as administration and myself, directly will be giving immediate feedback to students and to, teachers, but mostly teachers, through our observations, so they know what they're doing well, what they need to improve, and how can we get the support, with our academic coaches for them to improve their teaching strategies throughout the year. That's all I have for tonight. If you have any questions or concerns, please email me or call me or text me at any time. And I'll get back to you as soon as my schedule allows. I'll be returning on July the 23rd. In no time to hopefully be there for our teacher academy. I thank you for your time this evening. Hope you all have a great rest of your summer, and always remember to tighten up.
All right, Ms. Wilson, Ms. Taylor, do y'all have anything you wanna add, maybe about content mastery or tier 1 instruction?
I think the teacher academy that we're using, is gonna help us lay the foundation for this year in the conversations, and then we'll continue those for PD, so we really want to when I say reduce PD, I don't mean reduce the amount of PD, but really let it tie together so everything flows and matches. So whatever our teacher academy is, and those conversations, they're going to really set the tone for the year, and then we'll follow through with our PD. And so the
handbook that Ms. Raymond was working on, it has tier 1 instruction expectations, so the teachers will know the expectations for tier 1 and what the coaches as well as the administrators will be looking for when they come around.
And then having our norms at our school that follow up with that, so that these are our specific norms for Turner County Elementary and how that looks in our building.
How many teachers do we have in pre-K and kindergarten?
3 in pre-K and
For this 24-25 year, there were 4, I think there are 3 that are gonna be.
And one of them have, just a lot of days of absences, and it's 137 teacher absences.
Maternity leave, we had 2 actually that were maternity leave in that range.
Have we taken a look to break down the data to look at the teacher absences correlated with the test scores for each individual teacher to see if there's any correlation between? If you look at the data, we got most every subject, every grade level has almost over 35 days of absences for teachers, so I'm just wondering, does that correlate with, the students' expectations in terms of, because if you think they kind of match, the student absences kind of match the teacher absences in terms of each grade level. So I'm just wondering, have we looked at the data to see if the test
Some
scores?
classes, it does match. I know there's one teacher who was out on maternity leave, but she had very strong stuff that was there, that was a retired teacher, that was in that room during that time, so that class just continued with that rigor. So it depending on the teacher and the class, but, some do and some don't. But we can definitely get that information, get it to you for sure.
Well, it probably wouldn't help me, probably more help.
Yes.
Next year.
Move on to Turner County Middle School.
I will add too, some of those days when we look at absences, they're not all sick absences. A lot of those are for, I won't say a lot in terms of the actual number, but professional development days count in that as well. But we still need to work on our attendance for sure, but I did just want to mention that some of those absences are for professional development outside of the district.
Thank you.
All
All right, good evening, y'all. So this is the staff that we had this past year that we just completed. Some of that has changed. Some of these people are no longer with us. Many of them are still with us. So we're looking forward to, to a few new faces this coming year. This is our enrollment data. Subgroups and grade levels. So some of our good news, our 8th grade ELA scores did increase significantly on GMAS. Math had an overall increase in scores on GMAS. We did have a good year of collecting cell phones without much pushback. I think that has helped tremendously in our school. That was taking a lot of the focus from our children, and I think that's really helped tremendously. Turner County Middle School did earn the Georgia Literacy Leaders from State Superintendent Richard Woods. That was a major highlight this year. It was a great accomplishment for our students. We had multiple writing award winners from Turner County Middle School this year. And we are going into a new building, so that's an exciting deal for our students this year. So our growth areas, our overarching needs, so implementing HMH with Fidelity. So of course this was our first year, and it was a tough go for a little while there. I do feel like our teachers have a better grasp of it and do understand what is expected this coming year, along with our students. Because it was tough on our students and therefore our parents as well. We had lots of parents questioning, how come my child usually performs here, now they're kind of performing here. And they had to understand that we implemented a new rigorous curriculum that, it was gonna take some getting used to. It was gonna take a lot of learning from our staff and therefore, and passed on to our students. Improving science, social studies instruction, that's definitely, you'll see in a few minutes, that's definitely something that we've got to improve on. We've got to increase the Tier 1 rigor. Our Tier 1 instruction, as you've been listening, we've got our Teacher Academy coming up, and those are major pieces of what Turner County Middle School needs some support with. Tier 1 instruction, content area mastery, things like that. Increasing adolescent literacy across all grade bands is a growth area, and of course student attendance. And I will add in there, our staff attendance improved somewhat for the most part, but our student attendance we still really need some support, and we need support from our parents at home. So we're going to continue working on that. So our top 3 goals for content mastery, we will increase content mastery by at least 5% in all areas is a goal for us. Of course, attendance. Turner County Middle School will decrease behavior referrals and, well, hold on, I'm sorry, we got it in the wrong place. Turner County Middle School will decrease the number of student and teacher absences and early student dismissals by at least 3%. And then, I'm sorry, this was supposed to be here with behavior. So we will try to decrease our behavior referrals and suspensions by at least 6%. That's major goals of ours. And then, of course, we've listed some action steps that we would like to implement to try to see those goals and reach those goals this coming year for the 25-26 year. Of course, Teacher Academy for content mastery. We want to develop a consistent lesson plan, pacing guide, curriculum map, template that will be used across all academic subject areas so that everybody's on the same page. All of our certified teachers need to be using the same lesson plan so that we're all on the same page. Tier 1 instructional strategies, of course, that never ends. That's something that we've got to continue right on working towards. Implementing effective HLPs, evidence-based instructional strategies to focus on students with disabilities, and then of course, support teachers in designing lessons that include modeling, checks for understanding, and opportunities for student practice, okay? And then with behavior, we want to define clear, consistent behavior expectations for all areas of the school. We want to make sure our children are not only behaving in the classroom, but in the cafeteria, the hallways, media center, and various other places within the school. We want to reinforce expectations regularly through school-wide announcements, posters, and classroom integration. Train staff on using restorative practices and circles and conversations as a response to conflict and misconduct. We'd like to incorporate reflection opportunities for students, such as an example would be behavior reflection forums, student-teacher conferences. And we would like to establish a school-wide positive reinforcement system, and continue working on that to reward our children. And then attendance incentives, we would like to involve our community to help with this some. We got to have more truancy meetings, survey students and families to identify reasons for absences, could it be due to transportation, health, engagement and things like that. So, and then also coordinate support services. So like the nurse, social worker, school counselor, and we want to use those people to address non-academic barriers and make sure that that's not a reason why. So our main focus area is improving Tier 1 instruction. We want to make sure we've got the curriculum used with fidelity. So again, we started HMH this year, and we want to make sure that we continue that. And I do feel like a lot of our teachers have a pretty good grasp of that, and they will, improve greatly this year while utilizing that curriculum. Also, teacher and student attendance. We want to make sure that our teachers are at work. We want to make sure they're here serving our children. And therefore, I believe, when the teacher's here and they're modeling good expectations, I believe students will follow suit, and then we'll have better student attendance. We want to create a culture of accountability to improve the behavior, to decrease behavior referrals and suspensions. All right, so here's our subgroup population, as you can see. And this was our teacher staff attendance. So in 6th grade, we had 53.5 teacher total days missed. In 7th grade, we had 34.5 teacher total days missed. In 8th grade, we had 43. And then the SPED department combined was 41 teachers missed. And then when you look at it as a staff, it was 69.5. So, situations have been addressed with teacher attendance, and things have been put in place. So I think that problem should begin to improve this coming school year for sure with those employees. So here's our student attendance with the active enrollment. This is 6th through 8th grades. So as you can see here, 6th grade, 74 total students. We had 33 students who missed 5 or fewer days. And you can see for 7th and 8th grade. And then in this column here, these children, 6th grade again, 74 students, 30 students missed somewhere between 6 and 15 days, which equated to approximately 40%. And so this has been a major problem for us, student attendance. You gotta be here, and I think it starts with us, the adults, it starts with the teachers. Teachers have to be here, and then our students.
It's showing like 6th grade, your average of each teacher's average about 10 days absence.
Yes, sir. And
That's roughly what the students match that.
yes, sir. And there is a particular situation in 6th grade that has been addressed with teacher attendance and holding them accountable. There's been something put in place for that. So yeah, that grade level did stand out, and that's been addressed. All right, so our discipline data. So as you can see, the months and then the total referrals. So this right here tells me a lot. It tells me that Tier 1 instruction has to be made a priority. We've got to get classroom management more under control. And I think those two things combined, working hand in hand, I think, that'll help our discipline data to improve, and that'll help our referrals to go down. So Tier 1 instruction, and again, we're having that take place at Teacher Academy, and that will help eliminate some of those issues. And it starts with the teachers. It starts with the leader of the classroom. Those were just some various, if you look at the high ones here, disorderly conduct, class disruption. Class disruption, again, that comes from a lack of, quality classroom management and quality Tier 1 instruction. And that's where that comes from. Alright, so our sixth grade reading status, so as you can see here, we got 21, 22, 3, 4, and then this is our current year here. So we had 73 children test. We are currently 59% below grade level. And we are currently 41% on or above grade level. So that's really got to improve. Here's seventh grade, 67 students tested, 43 is below grade level, 57 is above. And then here's our eighth grade reading status. So we had 77 children. We have approximately 44% that is below grade level. We have 56 that is above. But I wanna highlight something before we move on. So this eighth grade group, last year in seventh grade, they had 42 ones on the Georgia milestones. This year we had 28. So we reduced the number of ones from 42 to 28, which is significant. You know, we still have a long way to go. We still have a lot of work to do, obviously. But that is a significant improvement for those children going from seventh grade to eighth grade this year. And then also, we had that eighth grade group this year, they had 37 twos. Last year, they had 20. So last year, they had 20 twos, and this year they have 37 twos. So obviously, we wanna be in the, column of 3 and 4s, on our GMAS. But I think that's worth noting, the number of twos, the number of improvements the students, who have came up. And then, and unfortunately, last year in that group, we had 0 4s. We had none. And then this year we had 1, so there's some improvement there. And then overall, in this particular group, last year we had 30 who were on or above grade level, and this year we have 43. So we went from 30 to 40, to 43. So that was a significant gain, and I just felt like that was worth noting. All right, so the sixth grade ELA GMAS, so 73 tested, and then you can see the percentages of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Obviously, we need these to go up. And that's where we've got to really work and really get creative and get some improvement there. And then here's sixth grade math. So 73 tested. We had 38% level 1, 54% level 2. And I'm sorry for that little error right there. That was supposed to be 7%. 7 point whatever percent. So, and then here's seventh grade math. And then eighth grade math. So we had a large group in eighth grade. And again, I was just discussing the eighth grade group, the current eighth grade group that we just gave support to this year, right? So last year in seventh grade, I want to highlight some of those students for math. In seventh grade, we had 36 ones last year. This year we went down to 28. So there again, still a lot of work, a lot of room to grow, obviously, but some improvement there. And then with twos, the seventh grade group last year, they had 29 twos. This year, they had 41 twos. So 2, 3s, and 4s is, twos passing. Obviously, we'd like for our children to be at least at a 3. So we went from 29 to 41 on that. So I thought that was, worth noting and fairly significant. We had a couple more 4s this year from the last year's seventh grade group, this year's eighth grade group. So just worth notating that there is some improvement, and I think we're on the right track to you know, getting our children where they need to be for student achievement. So, real quick, we had a pretty serious situation in 8th grade this year. We had a math teacher who ended up leaving the district early on in the school year. So of course, that was kind of a domino effect. And so when that person left, we had to move another person over. So we had to pick, you know, the best we had, do the best we could with what we had. So we put a person in math, therefore we moved another person up to social studies. So a very, you know, inexperienced teacher who we asked to come and step up and do a job, and they did their best. But again, no experience teaching, it was tough. And so just got a lot of work to do. So science and social studies, we have a lot of work to do across the board, but science and social studies especially needs a lot of support, as you can see. So in our climate survey, you know, we teaching, learning, safety, leadership, curriculum, and culture of the building from viewpoints of all stakeholders. So focus is placed on strengths, challenges, and actionable improvements across all groups. Families, the strengths, the families felt like there was high comfort communicating with teachers. School leader approachability, okay, that's good, and timely responses from teachers. And then the families felt, you know, some areas for improvement for our school, increase in school presence, improve proactive communication, and provide more support strategies. And our staff strengths, supportive leadership, job satisfaction, and our meetings are often useful. Our teachers, I think, did feel like this year was a good year for PLs, and I think that they got a lot of support, and I think they were very appreciative of that, and I think it's a good start. So I think we're on the right track. So areas for improvement were listed as alleviate overwhelming workloads, improve community partnership support, which that's something we continuously strive for, and then address physical environment concerns. So students, their strengths, they put teacher gives specific feedback, emergency preparedness knowledge, and respectful classroom discussions. Areas for improvement. They want bullying addressed, gangs and substance use, improve restroom and facility safety, and boost access to mental health support.
For all students, did they take a survey or something?
Yes, ma'am.
All of them?
Yes, most, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, most. And then the teachers listed the strengths, effective, well, we already did all those. And then areas for improvement, strengthen family engagement, reduce daily stress and burnout, and improve facilities and cleanliness. So these are things that we want to try to improve upon as leaders so that we can help build a better culture and climate. All right, so middle school highlights, strengths, instructional environment and community engagement rated exemplary by many. Leadership consistently rated highly for using data processes. Needs for improvement, differentiated instruction and feedback still operational. And professional learning opportunities could be expanded, so they want to continue receiving professional learning opportunities and PL opportunities. All right, are there any questions, concerns? Thank you.
All right, y'all need to stand up and stretch for a minute. I know, a long meeting. I'm not gonna bore you long. Okay, 5 minutes, I can work that. All right, good afternoon, good evening. As you know, I love to spotlight what we do at the high school, when I get an opportunity to. So, with that being said, you know, my favorite thing, I don't do this by myself. The high school takes a collective effort, coaches, teacher leaders, assistant principal, counselors, and so forth and so on. Enrollment data, we're sitting at around 308. So hopefully with that big, nice building, we'll increase some enrollment, hopefully within the next few weeks. But as of right now, we're looking at around 308. A couple highlights and good news, graduation rate increase, which you'll see in some slides down in a few minutes. Increased content mastery in 3 areas, less than 10 fights and busting school, and kudos to restorative practice and taking time to talk to students about the issues. It's amazing when you sit kids down and just say, hey, what's going on, and let them talk to each other, how to resolve conflict a lot of times. Removal of cell phones, so thanks to Ms. Ray and bringing that plan in, that's been phenomenal, and you'll see gains in coming years along with this year. And then one biggie is that money, college career grant. Kudos to everybody that played a part in that. Graduation rates over the last 3 years, you'll see kind of the growth. And once again, this is not me, this is more or less just identifying which kids are at risk, putting them in the best placement for them to be successful, whether it's alternative placement or small group or something we can do within the building. But you've seen the increase over the last 3 years. And our goal is 100%, which is almost hard to get 100% because, you know, kids kind of fall by the wayside and move and do different things. But our goal is to get everybody graduating from high school on time. Looking at our ELC data, you'll see an increase in American literature. Kudos to our coaches for just going in there doing the work. Of course, ELA standards will change come next year, and we'll make the changes accordingly. But we made some small gains, and you saw last year we didn't do as well, but those small gains do help. And just building confidence in our staff. We did have a staff member that kind of took it personal last year. We did spread the love out a little bit this year. We had multiple teachers teaching ELC test area and American Lit, but just more or less getting there, learning and growing and meeting our students where they are. But we had a significant gain. And then math has been having gains for the last 3 years, but this year we had a tremendous gain of 11%. So you see the data from year to year. We did have one student that came. Well, we tested a total of 10 students over summer school, and we had two to make twos. One in algebra and one in biology. This is U.S. history. Like I said, we've had tremendous gains in U.S. history over the last couple of years, and I give a lot of credit to our dual enrollment counselor going in, making sure, you know, students want to do it, you know, want to do some dual enrollment, and once they take that history course, they do help us out on our data for as ELC with our U.S. history. And in biology, like I said, we had one student to come back and retest. We really needed multiple students to do so, but we had some deficits in biology. But our main teacher that teaches biology went off on maternity leave in, I think, early April, late March, early April. And so we'll get back to what we do in biology. She really missed the opportunity not to be there, and she told us that she definitely wanted to be a part and making sure that data continue to increase. Here's our student data. Basically, this is projection. So basically what I did was we had a roughly 35 students that missed more than 18 days. And of course, it's just projection. It may look a little different once the CCRPI spits out, but we should be somewhere around 85+% with student attendance. Okay, EOPA data, as you see, we're doing a better job in that area. I remember 3 years ago we were way down, but we're building that up. But our students did a great job in those areas. I think we tested around 99 students. I want to say of the 99, and you'll see that in a minute when Ms. Joyner present. But I think we tested a total of 99 students, and 82 of those students passed. And you'll see our district pass rate of 82%. Okay, just a look ahead to next year. Academic growth, overarching needs, improved tier 1 instruction and remediation. I think that's across the board here in the district. We got to improve that and do a better job of increasing those content areas by 3%. Student attendance, that's still a work in progress. I let up off the gas the last 2 months of school, and you've seen the difference in attendance, me just not holding them accountable. But we got a plan to kind of create our attendance team and meet with those students periodically. Also have an attendance coordinator. Talk to Ms. Bailey, being our attendance coordinator, looking at that stuff every day during 4th period is gonna make a difference in our student attendance. And then having research-based curriculums. We don't have a curriculum currently in science and social studies. We do have math, of course, with our new standards with ELA, we'll have curriculums, but we're looking to look out for curriculums in science and social studies in the coming years. School improvement plans for next year. We're just gonna continue what we do in content mastery in all four areas. We wanna increase that by 3 to 6%. you know, along with our district goal. Also, our CTA pathways, we did a good job of building that over the last 3 years, like I mentioned, but we want to continue to meet that state average on our inner pathway assessments, and of course, that attendance data. And that promise, we gotta hold each other accountable, including myself and everybody else, and not make any excuses. But you'll see in our school improvement plan, we're adding incentives and things just to kind of increase that data in all those 3 areas. Action steps, kind of similar to what other principals kind of put out there, Teacher Academy in a couple weeks. Lesson plan template, pacing guides, assessment development, tiered, just support in that tiered and differentiation area, professional development, classroom observations by administrators, and then when we're dealing with pathway assessments, EOPAs, those Bridgeville conferences, having those one-on-one conferences with students to do what they want to do. Utilize our youth science reports, transcript audits by counselor. We realized in the last couple of years doing those audits at the first semester will help us out on a lot of stuff on the back end. Winter and spring session for EOPAs. And basically, you know, just make sure we have some time where we set aside, and C-turn, everything's in C-turn for us to utilize, especially our teachers, so we're gonna be utilizing that a lot more. And then when it come down to attendance, making sure you hold them accountable in those truancy meetings, leader and me incentives, development of attendance team, weekly monitoring of student attendance, and monitoring assignments for mentoring, pairing up students with mentors if they're missing a lot of days and not coming to school. Main focus areas, student growth and achievement. That's that tier 1 instruction we've been talking about. Teacher development, we're always trying to make sure we develop our teachers. Teacher and student attendance, and CTA pathway completion and EOPA. Questions? I do want to add on that improvement slide, we probably should have added vaping and also teen pregnancy. Those are areas we're going to be focusing on going into next year. But we've got to do a better job of identifying what is the main root cause of those problems and try to work to make it better. Questions? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be presenting our fiscal year 25 EOPA data. I'm very proud of this data. The purpose of EOPA, or Inter-Pathway Assessment, it measures the student readiness of each pathway. It's required as one of the components of our College and Career Ready Performance Index, the CCRPI, and a lot of these pathways that we offer here at Turner County High School, they're gonna add extra points to our CCRPI, so I'm excited to see that. We assess pathways in ag, our health science, human services, which is our food and nutrition, and our audiovisual technology and film pathways. Okay, we tested 99 students, and out of that 99, 81 students passed with a completion rate of 82%. And I want to go back to that. That's almost double the number of students we tested last year. Okay, our top performing pathways was Ag Leadership and Hort. 8 students tested and 8 students passed. And this is after retakes and whatnot. Audiovisual technology and film. We have 1 student to complete the pathway in the history of the program, and that 1 student passed, so it's 100% for that particular pathway. Plant science, 5 tested and 5 passed. So that's another 100% pass rate there. Our largest program area was our nutrition and food science, this is Blank's pathway. 28 students tested, and out of those 28, 25 students passed, for a pass rate of 89%. Our pathways that need a little bit more attention are ag mechanics. Out of 6 students, 2 passed. That's a 33% pass rate. Our forest mechanical systems, 4 students tested and 3 passed. It's over the 50% mark, so I'm still proud of those. That's 75% in our Fort mechanical system. 5 students tested and 4 of them passed, so that's still 80% pass rate. Program strengths for CTAE, our high performance in health science and Hort, strong participation in human services, that's our food and nutrition, and consistent pass rates across most of our pathways. Recommendations, we're gonna provide targeted support in our ag mechanics, adding the welding pathway, that will help there. partnering with Southern Regional, analyzing test prep strategies in lower performing areas in the spring before Mr. Lavender took his new role. We met to talk about other assessments that we could implement for our ag pathways, and implementing the precision assessment has helped with our ag pathways. Also, but the downside to precision, they don't provide study guides for our students. So I attended a professional development, and you asked about AI, and they recommended uploading the frameworks into ChatGPT to create study guides for our students in our inter-pathway assessments. And we did it. I did it, created a set of study guides for our students. And a lot of times the students didn't think it was beneficial until they got to that retake. And after studying that study guide, they were able to pass using that AI created study guide. And also going back to CTAE, Mr. Clark mentioned C-Turn. Our CTAE, Dr. Barbara Walls, she has really embraced AI, and all of our lesson plans and C-Turns for our teachers have been updated with the use of artificial intelligence. So I'm excited for our teachers that they will have updated and newer resources to use with our students. We're gonna continue with strong instruction with our high-performing pathways like our nursing and our food and nutrition and our high-performing ag pathways. And we're gonna expand successful programs with high enrollment and pass rates. All right, so those are the study guides that we were able to utilize using ChatGPT. We created study guides, or I created study guides for Ag Science 1, Plant Science, Greenhouse Management, and then other resources we used were the frameworks from UScience, of course ChatGPT, and we reinforced key content and vocabulary. We aligned study materials with our standards to help improve those exam readiness scores in our student and teacher confidence. All right, so that's another breakdown or another view of the number of students tested and the number of students passed. All right, and these are our credentialing, because one of the goals for CTAE is for our students to graduate and walk across that stage with their diploma in one hand and a credential value in the other. And these are our external resources for credentialing. We use Precision/UScience, and the students are already familiar with UScience. ServSafe for food and nutrition, and we use Nocti for our audiovisual film technology and for our ag mechanics, and then of course ChatGPT for AI enhanced study support. All right, questions and next steps. Continuing using C-Turn and our data to drive the planning for 25-26, and then collaboration with our CTA instructors to review results. I'm already met with Mr. Rogers. He wants to continue with Nocti, so we've already addressed what he's used to using in Coffee County, and he hopes to continue that here with Turner County with high success. So I'm excited about the new school year and proud of our students and staff.
So how do you determine who you test?
They have to complete the pathway, and they test within the year that they complete their pathway.
Like, 1 and 2 and 3?
Yes, and they can take them in any order. And there is a report that's provided from the state in the spring. So I cross-reference it with the students, that the teachers self-report to make sure that we don't miss any students or any students don't fall through the cracks. Thank you.
We appreciate all the hard work that's gone into your event presentations. We'll move on to the items from the desk of the superintendent. Start with top 2 grants.
We were able to get the COPS 2 grant submitted right before the July 4th holiday break that Thursday afternoon. And with that $500,000, if awarded, we're gonna purchase the fencing and the gates for the middle school, high schools. Again, that was something that I think originally was included in deed at some point, so we need to get that security piece in place. We also want to use that $500,000 for intercoms and cameras at the elementary school, access control at the elementary school, which of course the middle school and high school will have it with it being a new building. Mats and rugs are something that we can include. That's something like this where you've got the monogram, the embroidered, something that we can use for middle school, high school, and elementary school. And then metal detectors. Open Gate has a new product that's been out for a few years similar to, well, we used to have a metal detector in the back of this room, the one that you walk through, which seems very sterile. It's almost like walking into a prison. Open Gate instead is 2 poles. So there's just 2 poles and you just walk through. The poles can be personalized with your term, Titan logo and your colors, but it is an expensive product. You can set the level, see how, what you want it to pick up, if you're looking for one type of weapon versus another type of weapon, if you're just looking for notebook rings, if you're looking for cell phones, you can set it to what sensitivity level that you would like for it to be. So again, we included that, and if awarded, when awarded, that $500,000 we'll know in the fall, we can begin putting together the POs for those items. Next is balanced scorecard. You know that, I think it was February, well, back in July, we started working on the strategic planning, the 5-year strategic planning process with GSBA. I think it was July 11th, we all met and kicked off this plan. Usually it takes 6 to 9 months, and that was exactly what we ended up doing. We started in July, and the board voted in February to adopt our strategy map. So the strategic plan and the strategy map with the new 5 goal areas, where in the past we've had 4 goal areas, all of that is done. The next step after all of that's done in February, March and April, it was to take and make all of those 5 goal areas specific with the performance objectives that would be used to make sure those goals were met. So if you look on your strategy map, that's what you approved in February, the 5 goal areas and the performance objectives to match that. I told you, once that was done, the teams would be continuously working together, and they have done an excellent job of taking each one of those performance objectives and breaking it down to the action steps. Because we know, basically at the district level, we need a lesson plan to guide what we do, just how the schools and the teachers need a lesson plan to guide what they do. And we need a way to be accountable. We need a way to monitor whether or not we're being successful in each one of those areas. So this balanced scorecard information is actually already been put into eBoard. It's being built as we speak. And if you look at this 3rd document, it's got the little Turner County logo on it. This is what's already in eBoard. So we're building this. I told you that would be something that we would have ready to start the school year. You would then have a balanced scorecard, and as those numbers are updated in real time, each month you will see those balanced scorecard numbers. You'll see the reds, the greens, the yellows, so you'll see how we're progressing in each one of the areas related to those 5 goal areas. So this is a huge undertaking. Again, we could not have done it without the entire team working together. So we appreciate everybody's efforts, everybody that's been a part of this process. And again, this is a living, breathing document for all of us to use for accountability. But it's in eBoard now, if you'd like to look at it, if you'd like to learn it, check it out. I've already mentioned the GSBA governance team self-assessment. That's something that we can work on together tonight, or something we can work on individually over the week and finish it up next Monday. Basically, you'll go through each one of the goal areas, each one of the domains, and within each domain, you'll rate us as a self-assessment as satisfactory, needs improvement, or you don't know for each one of those standard areas. And it's spelled out as far as the elements and the breakdown. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know, and like I said, I'll help you in any way possible to guide you through that process. And I think the last thing that I have is just an update on the brick paper project. And I think we had, what was it, 45 bricks whenever the project was first released in 2023, and then we re-released it, opened it back up to the public again over the last few weeks, and that 45 went to 64. So that was a significant jump. I can show you in the new building where that brick paper project will be, and it's in a spot near the flagpole, so it'll be near those front steps area, the main entrance. But the way that it's gonna be designed is it'll be able to grow each year. So if we wanna re-release that every year, have more people buy bricks, or if we wanna do it on an every 5-year basis, and then add the bricks in, you know, we can do that in whatever method we would like. But I think that'll be really special. Here's an example of what it's gonna look like, and the color. So you can see how it's gonna be lasered, I guess is the word. I keep wanting to say monogrammed, because I monogram everything, but it's lasered. And so that's something that'll be special, that'll last through the sands of time. And these are the 2 different sizes. This is the 4x8, and then there'll be an 8x8.